always great. I know we have a few other candidates that are here too. Tina is with us. Could you stand up if you're running for office here today? We also have Tina. For Waterloo, also for National Committee Woman, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you all. And I really am humbled by all the support that we've received. You know, I've been running my campaign now for the last 10 months. A little bit about me, I'm a lifelong Utahn. I elementary school years in Orem, then ended up going to Bingham High School in South Jordan. Got my undergraduate degree at the University of Utah in political science and economics, and then got a master's in business from BYU. I've operated several companies, took an energy company public back in 2022, which has afforded me this opportunity really to kind of take a look and try to serve in another capacity, because my wife and I, after 10 years now going on 11 serving my community of Riverton, we made a decision that, you know, we weren't going to seek re-election as mayor, that there was perhaps something else that we may be called to do. I truly believe that we have a citizen government. And if you go to our Riverton City Council chambers, you'll note that to the right is the copy of the Constitution. I put that there deliberately, and then to the left is the oath of office. And it says there that we will support, obey, and defend this document. And I've made no questions about it. I talked to our elected officials and I said, this was done intentionally. And then at the back of our chambers is one of my favorite paintings. I've got several, but this one is of George Washington resigning his commission at the Maryland State House. And I told everybody, that's a reminder that this is not a lifetime gig.
That's right.
You do your time, and then you move on. And so with that understanding and with that mindset, my wife and I really contemplated, prayed about what we do next, and this race kept coming back to us. Because, as any of you who've seen my launch video, I wasn't happy with Mitt Romney. In fact, he came to me back in 2018 and he said, hey, I want your support. And I said, well, Mitt, what are you going to do? And he put in a 30-second commercial spot that's still on his website today. Says he entitled it Fight For. And he said, if you elect me as Senator Utah, I will fight for you every day. I'll put us on a path to a balanced budget. I'll end illegal immigration, he claimed. Then he ended. He said, I'll stop federal spending and overreach, and I'll confirm conservative justices to the court. His record is 180 degrees from that. With trillions more in spending, open border mess, one of 5 Republicans to confirm the Secretary Mayorkas. We have him voting for radical Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who couldn't define what a woman is. I mean, this is who's representing us in the state of Utah, and oftentimes canceling out the vote of Senator Lee with important issues. So we said back in May, I said, enough is enough. We're going to replace Mitt Romney. That was the title of my opinion piece. And right away, we had national media take attention. I got the endorsement of Mark Levin, of Charlie Kirk, of Carrie Lake, who came out here, Rick Grinnell, Kash Patel, close to President Trump. We've had a number of local elected officials here in the state, over 100 mayors, council members, county commissioners that support my candidacy, because I believe that they see my record as somebody who's been willing to stand up to the establishment. And that's what I want to talk about for just a couple of minutes and introduce our great senator from the state of Alabama. To me, that's what this election is all about. For far too long, we've been led by a ship of fools. That was the title of a book that Tucker Carlson wrote back in 2018. And he basically said, look, we keep electing people that go back to DC and are more concerned with becoming part of the establishment than they are about representing we the people. And so what this election is all about, the decision that's before you as the voters, and particularly the delegates here. How many are state delegates, by the way? Oh, this is amazing. Thank you. The decision is, are we going to replace Mitt Romney with Mitt Romney 2.0? Or are we going to put in another Mike Lee, another constitutional conservative? That's what we have before us. And I believe in order to put in somebody strong, they need to have been in a position of authority and have demonstrated what they've done with that trust. What have they done? And so that's why we put together at TrentStaggs.com, there's a page there called Proven Fighter, where I've stood up time and time again. Because again, we're not going to break the status quo. 34 plus trillion in debt, open border, regulations run amok, federal agencies weaponized against their own citizenry. We can't change these things if we just send back somebody who is going to be more concerned about ingratiating themselves in a DC culture than representing us.
Right.
And I believe I've demonstrated that ability. I'm the only one in this race that was willing to challenge Mitt Romney. We made my announcement back in May. Mitt Romney didn't decide not to seek re-election until September. In May, he was at about 50% favorability amongst Republican primary voters, dropped down to 30% by the time our launch video got out, been viewed now over 1.5 million times. We had 50 plus town halls last year, reminded people of those things, those promises he had made and had what he had not kept. And Utahns were not happy. So it came as no surprise to me that he decided not to seek re-election. But folks, anybody else in this Senate race only came in after he made that decision. I think that's very telling. You can trust me to stand up to the establishment. We were in it no matter what. Also, endorsing President Trump. Right away, was able to give my support to him last summer, just shortly after we announced we need his strength back in office. I've said it's more than just the 2017 tax cuts, the less than $2 gallon gas. Who remembers less than $2 gallon gas? Yeah. And I took an energy company public. I know a thing or two about energy dominance. That's what I've been saying. Got another candidate in the race now who chairs a climate caucus, who seems to think that he can take that line now from me. I think the voters are smarter than that. But that is something very, very important. We need his strength back in office. I firmly believe that we wouldn't have the issues with Ukraine and Israel, the challenges we have in the world today, we wouldn't have if President Trump were still in office. And more importantly, we have somebody in President Trump who cares about everyday Americans. And that was what I spoke about at CPAC. He's the only elected official from the state of Utah invited to speak at CPAC and gave my speech there. You can go and look at it. But I said, we need leaders that care about everyday Americans. And he did that. I was witness to it because one of my residents, Josh Holt, was wrongfully imprisoned in Venezuela by a socialistic government back in 2016, and the Obama-Biden administration did nothing. It wasn't until President Trump got into office that he got that kid home. And I'm witness to that, and I am forever grateful for President Trump for helping out, because I heard the prayers and just the cries of the mother constantly as mayor, that she was just beside herself. We need to do something to get my boy home, and he did that. Also, as Trevor mentioned, one of the few in the state elected officials where I stood up to mask and vaccine mandates and said, not in my city. Not in my city. And you'll see evidence of that if you go to that site again, TrentStaggs.com, look at Proven Fighter, click on rejected mask and vaccine mandates from the very beginning in 2020, when the Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson said it's going to be a Class B misdemeanor to have more than 10 people together. $1,000 fine. I said, no way, unconstitutional, I'm not going to enforce it, we won't prosecute. Same with the mask mandate in June. Interview with Brian Malahy. You're not going to enforce it? No, I'm not. Nope, it's heavy-handed, we're not going to enforce it here in Riverton City. So time and time again, been on the right side of that. We fought ESG, we fought high-density housing, I fought inappropriate materials in school. as Rod was talking about. Folks, I never thought I'd see this day. In Utah, where my 14-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter go to school in Jordan School District, that I'd have to go before the school board and really plead with them to take out over 150 books that are wholly inappropriate. I mean, Representative Ivory sponsored a piece of legislation that passed, and it's very clear. If there are depictions or illustrations of these 5 things, it's pornographic, there's no educational value for minors. It can't be in schools. Yet we, as elected officials, some of us, we had to stand up and fight, and I'm grateful for organizations like Utah Parents United that brought that to my attention. Thank you. So, all of these things I bring up because that's what I think is most important. Yes, as your senator, I'll champion smaller, limited government, safer families, and a stronger economy. You can go to my website and learn more about those things, and I'm happy to talk to you about those. But we need somebody who's demonstrated that backbone, that resolve, right? That's why I think I've also received so many endorsements. And I want to be able to introduce now somebody who I greatly admire. And it was talked about his courage with respect to the horrific practices the Biden administration was allowing to go on with respect to paying for abortions in our military. And I went back to D.C. in January, and I sought the endorsement of Senator Tuberville because of that. Because he's somebody I know that has the strength, he's demonstrated it, he's willing to stand up. He's one of these people that we can trust, like Mike Lee, like I believe Carrie Lake as well is going to get into the Senate here. But we need more than just President Trump in office. And Kash Patel, who's endorsed my candidacy, also spoke to this. He said, it does us very little good if we get him back and we don't have a group of America First constitutional conservative senators that are going to have his back.
Right, that's right.
Right? And that's what Senator Tuberville has demonstrated time and time again. I want to be able to go back to the Senate and work with Senator Tuberville. I'm already building that type of coalition, as you can see with the endorsements that I've received. I am going back to represent Utah day one, in January 25, to work with President Trump and with these great, great senators. And unfortunately, it's not just the Democrats. We've had issue with some establishment Republicans that we need to be able to fight and push back on. But Senator Tuberville is not one of those establishment types. Again, why I sought his endorsement, and everybody, please welcome Senator Tommy Tuberville.